All right, if you missed it yesterday, AJ Dybantsa took to social media and announced that he is officially launching his own foundation. Now, this is pretty impressive because they're calling it the AJ Dybantsa Foundation. And what I love about this is a lot of guys like AJ who have put together an impressive basketball career. This is a kid who is swimming in NIL cash. He's got sponsorship deals. Like we're talking exclusive deals with Red Bull, with Nike. He's obviously working with Nutricost. A lot of the different things he's doing out there when it comes to NIL, in addition to being paid by BYU with revenue share and the like, have set him up financially in a position that very, very few people will ever get to that stratosphere. And oh, by the way, he hasn't even made it to the NBA yet, where he can, in theory, this next generation of high school / college basketball stars going into the NBA in this generation could very easily, if things work out, they play the career that they expect to play the level they expect to play, get the max contracts that are out there in the NBA, could make north of $1 billion. That's a billion with a B in career earnings on the court, not to mention all the endorsements off of it. AJ is going to exist in a stratosphere that, like I said, very few human beings will ever exist in. But I don't think that it precludes him, as he's indicated yesterday, from forgetting what has helped him get to this level and why he wants to give back. I've loved the fact that this is a kid, even back in his high school days, was doing giveaways at Christmas, doing Nike stuff, giving out shoes. He's done a bunch of back-to-school events, and that's what he hopes to do going forward here now with the formal launch of this AJ Dybantsa Foundation. And I love this. It shows me that this is a young man who could be so full of himself. And that's one thing I've always been impressed with AJ is he is very self-aware of who he is. He knows he has a platform. He knows he has got gifts in the game of basketball that nobody else has. And it's obviously going to reward him financially, but I think his parents have done a really, really good job raising him and not letting him get too big of a head. Speaking of him thinking, I'm all that, I've done it myself, I don't need to give back to anybody. They have been very clear about wanting to give back to Haiti via his mother, who's a native of Haiti. His dad, Ace, is from Africa originally. And they know the humble roots they have come from, and they know that the heights that their son, speaking of AJ, could lift them to, like financially, are it's truly rags to riches. And that's why I appreciate what AJ's doing here. And I respect the fact that he's giving back already. He could have waited till he got to the NBA and could have waited till he was well into his NBA career to have announced this. But as they say, the AJ Dybantsa Foundation is committed to empowering youth and supporting the communities that have shaped AJ's journey, one of which is Provo, Utah. He will always be linked with BYU and Provo, even if it's just a one and done season here in Provo. But as he mentions, through back-to-school drives, giveaways, and community events, each initiative reflects AJ's belief that every child deserves opportunity, confidence, and support. The foundation continues to give back year-round, uplifting youth and strengthening the communities that mean the most to him. I think this is fantastic. And I'm not being paid to talk about AJ and what he's doing with this foundation. I just thought it was really, really cool that he, at 18 years old, is aware enough of the platform he has that he's not just setting himself up. He's not just setting his family up. He's going out and trying to be a bright, a light in the world. And I don't need to explain to many of you how dark this world seems to be almost on a daily basis. There's a lot of crap going on out there, and all of us are facing all kinds of different things. And I appreciate the fact that AJ, just in his way, is trying to give back, and more importantly, give back to the youth. And I hope it pans out the way he wants it to. If you want to learn more about this, by the way, I'll mention this. You can go to officialajdybantsa.com to learn more about the foundation and everything and what they're endeavoring to do here. But it's fantastic that he's gone to Haiti. He's given out clothing and shoes. He's done back to school deals for those who are less fortunate. And so long as he continues, I think, to keep the sense of self that he has, and I think his parents obviously will play a role in that, I think AJ is going to be one of those guys that you can always look at and say, you know what? It's a kid who knows where he's been, where he's going, but at the same time, he hasn't forgotten the people around him that helped him along that path. So it's cool to see stuff like this. I'm sure there are going to be other BYU players who are going to do similar stuff. Richie Saunders has done a number of things. I know that Robert Wright III has had some camps, obviously via his own foundation. It's cool to see players stepping up and understanding that, yeah, they have been given a pretty incredible platform, but at the same time, wanting to make sure that they, at least in some small part, give back to those who have given them so much. It's a really, really noble thing. And like I said, these are young men. Like, trust me, if you were to tell 18-year-old Jake Hatch that he was going to be worth millions, like legitimately, that's what AJ's already worth, and had the potential to make, hundreds, if not maybe $1 billion in on-court earnings, not to mention, like I said, off-court endorsements over what could be an incredible career. Not going to lie, I'd be pretty conceited. I'd be pretty self-centered. And I don't think anybody out there could argue otherwise. It's just, you think about how much money dictates a lot of what we do in our lives. And AJ, he's never going to have to work. Let's using the term work. He's going to have to work to play basketball, but he's going to create generational wealth. He's already actually created it as a college and high school basketball player, but he's going to create it even more so as an NBA player in due time. And like I said, it's noble of him to be willing to set up this foundation and to give back. And it's cool that Richie Saunders, Robert Wright, I'm sure there'll be other BYU players who eras past. I know that people like Travis Hansen. Remember, Travis is, I think, is it honorary or is it official that he is a citizen of Russia because of the work he did with orphanages during his time playing over in Russia? So this is kind of a legacy thing that AJ is just continuing a long legacy of BYU and members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of which Travis Hansen is. Now he's working essentially as the, what is it, like, I call him like the team president of BYU athletics. I know he's funding NIL opportunities, but you get what I'm talking about. It's cool to see guys like Travis who have done that out in the world. I know guys like Elijah Bryant have done that. Yoeli Childs has done that overseas. But this is happening right here in our community with what AJ is building right now. And as I mentioned, he plans on making it a kind of a hallmark of his time in Provo to continue to give back to, like I said, communities, obviously in Boston and Brockton, Massachusetts. I'm sure his time down in Southern Utah, as brief as it was, out in California for high school, and his time in Provo. Those will all be part of his story and part of the foundation that he's established here. But wherever he ends up playing in the NBA, he'll obviously do great things there. And yeah, I just props to AJ for being willing to do that at a very, very young age, when it'd be very easy for him to be like, you know what, I'm going to do me. I think it's a really cool thing that he's stepping up and being as outspoken and willing to take on the responsibilities of a foundation like this. All right, that is going to do it for today's edition of the show. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic out there in Cougar Nation. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Big game tonight. Obviously, we'll be recapping that tomorrow on the show. We're also going to talk kind of the outcomes of signing day. Which return missionaries are on the list of guys who are expected to enroll in time for the season? What impact could they have? Which ones are not on there? Obviously, we'll talk a lot about that. So we'll have plenty of coverage for you guys, as we always do, right here on your original daily podcast for the BYU Cougars. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Everybody get Locked On Cougars ad-free, members-only Discord access service, and more. Head to lockedoncougars.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club today. For those of you on video, we're now going to send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel for more coverage of everything we have going on the network. Or if you're on audio, make sure you make your second listen today, Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin is doing a great thing covering the sport we all love out there. And as always, thank you for being an everydayer right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.